All right, everybody. My name's JT. This is my third presentation for English 3300 Literary Criticism at East Tennessee State. I decided to do my third presentation on ecocriticism. A little bit about ecocriticism. It is the study of the relationship between literature and the physical environment. It began in the United States in the 1980s. One of the founders of ecocriticism is Cheryl Haltfelty. She co-edited with Harold Fromm a collection of helpful essays entitled The Ecocriticism Reader, Landmarks in Literary Ecology. In 1992, she was also the co-founder of the Association for the Study of Literature and the Environment. The acronym for that is ASLE, and it's pronounced ASLE. So, unlike structuralists, Marxists, and other modes of literary theory, ecocriticism does not have a widely known set of assumptions, doctrines, or procedures. And I feel as though applying ecocriticism to a piece of literature allows for more freedom in how the text is actually interpreted. In the United States, ecocriticism takes its literary bearing from the Transcendentalists, namely Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, and Margaret Fuller. Transcendentalism was the first major literary movement in America to achieve cultural independence from European models. And it goes along with ecocriticism because ecocriticism and transcendentalism are both interested in the relationship between culture and nature. And ecocriticism rejects the notion that everything is socially and or linguistically constructed. To the eco-critic, nature really does exist as its own entity, and there's no reducing it to a concept. Eco-critics highlight nature's aesthetic and symbolic value, seeking to show that nature is far more than an object of scientific scrutiny. And I think that's what they mean by you can't reduce it to a concept. Nature's just so large a thing that by putting it into words just really takes away from it. So the writer that I chose to do alongside the eco-criticism is a poet named Emily Dickinson, and she was born in 1830 and lived until 1886. Most of her life was centered around Amherst, Massachusetts. According to the Norton Anthology for American Literature, Dickinson is known for her complex lyrics, and she explored subjects such as psychic pain and joy, the relationship of self to nature, the intensely spiritual, and the intensely ordinary. I thought it was interesting about her poems that each of them are individually short, but when you put them all together, they feel like a much longer, epic poem. The poem of hers that I'm going to read and apply this eco-criticism to is number 89 in the Complete Poems of Emily Dickinson that was edited by Thomas Johnson. So this is poem 89. Some things that fly there be, birds, hours, the bumblebee, of these no elegy. Some things that stay there be, grief, hills, eternity, nor this behooveth me. There are that resting rise. Can I expound the skies? How still the riddle lies. So this poem's pretty cool. In the first stanza, the speaker says that this isn't going to be an elegy for things that fly. And elegies are usually broad reflective poems that have to deal with something passing away. Flight is included in this because it's always interesting to humans because they can't fly. I mean, they can with the help of, maybe a helicopter or an airplane, but until they can sprout their own wings and fly, humans, I think, that'll be one thing that they really, really are interested in. And I think it's interesting that owls do not necessarily fly, but they do fly by, disappearing quickly. And anyone who's been having a really good time with something has noticed how fast that time they've had goes away. But you can actually witness time, and a really interesting way to witness time is just by observing the seasons, by going from winter to spring to fall, well, winter to spring to summer to fall. You can see the change, and that is a good way. And for the most part of human history is how humans recorded time. But in the second stanza, the speaker says the things that stay, they are not their responsibility to expound upon. Grief, hills, and eternity are three things that last forever. And the reference to the hills shows that nature is still around and present, whether we choose to acknowledge it or not. But the speaker's not going to acknowledge those things. And so in the third stanza, there's the question, can I expound the skies? And I feel as though an explanation of the heavens would be best suited for the speaker. But it said in line 9, the very last line of the poem, how still the riddle lies. In eco-criticism, you're not supposed to apply like linguistic theories and things to it. But I've found that still is an adverb of the word lies, and still meaning continuously. The riddle is the question, how can I expound the skies? And that's really asking for a false statement, because you can't apply a concept to the sky. A big part of eco-criticism is acknowledging that nature really is one of the few things you can't apply concepts to. And so by really trying to apply a concept to it, again, it just takes away from how grand and spectacular nature can be. I thought it was really interesting to do eco-criticism for this presentation, because especially with everyone being cooped up for so long, that nature really means a little bit more when you get out and you feel the sun on your face, or feel the wind, or notice the trees blowing around. So I'd like to encourage you, next time you get out and have a chance, to think about eco-criticism and give the relation of literature and the physical environment a little bit of thought. And maybe it'll inspire you to be like the transcendentalist and see that culture and nature really do go hand in hand. And as always, go Bucks.